The Galactic Council never intended for this record to become public. It was meant to be sealed. Not because humanity failed, but because humanity succeeded. And success, in this case, remains controversial. For 812 cycles, the galaxy operated under a doctrine known as the Great Correction. Aggression had been identified as the root variable behind every extinction-level conflict in recorded interstellar history. So it was removed, species by species, gene by gene. Violence was edited, rage was dampened, territorial dominance instincts were softened, the results were measurable, war declined, casualties fell, economic expansion stabilized. Within 3 centuries, interstellar armed conflict was statistically extinct. Humanity did not participate in the correction. They claimed logistical delay, cultural hesitation, ethical review. The Council logged the refusal as non-compliant but tolerable. At the time, humans were considered minor participants in galactic affairs, industrious, emotional, cooperative when convenient, primitive in some respects, unrefined in others. They retained measurable aggression markers long considered obsolete by the rest of civilization. This was documented, it was monitored, it was tolerated, until cycle 4412. That was when the first system went silent. No distress signal, no debris field, no radiation signature, just absence. The Theran Collective had removed fear from their species architecture 600 cycles prior. Their society was structured around consensus response and distributed decision-making. They had not prepared for eradication. Their sun continued to burn. Their planets remained intact. Their people were gone. The Council convened immediately. Initial theories included quantum cascade anomaly, dimensional instability, rogue artificial intelligence. None explained the pattern, because there was a pattern. Within 19 cycles, 3 more civilizations ceased transmission. Each one shared a similar genetic profile, aggression index below 0.02, defensive mobilization latency above 48 hours. No standing combat fleet larger than ceremonial deterrent scale. There was no battle debris, no energy discharge scars, no atmospheric burn signatures. The official Council stance at the time was containment of unknown phenomenon. That designation would later be revised. The first visual confirmation arrived from an automated agricultural drone in the Varel system. The drone had no fear protocols, no moral filters, no capacity for panic. It recorded everything. The footage is still restricted, but the summary remains in this file. The entity was biological, mass variable, configuration adaptive, locomotion inconsistent with known taxonomy. It did not broadcast, it did not negotiate, it did not alter planetary structures. It harvested. Entire biospheres were processed, not destroyed, consumed. The Council prepared a diplomatic envoy. There was no response. A containment fleet was assembled. It was dismantled in 11.4 seconds. No pursuit followed. The entity did not expand aggressively. It targeted selectively. Specifically, civilizations with suppressed aggression markers. This correlation was not publicly acknowledged at first. It is now. What followed was the quietest panic in modern galactic history. Species that had not waged war in centuries began reactivating dormant shipyards. Defense academies reopened. Strategic theory was revisited. But something had changed over 800 cycles. The instinct to escalate had been edited out. Command deliberations extended. Engagement hesitation increased. Fleet coordination lagged. The Predator adapted faster than the Council. Systems fell, not explosively, but methodically. It did not invade heavily fortified military hubs. It erased the compliant, the peaceful, the slow to respond. And then, in Cycle 4419, humanity formally requested combat authorization. The motion was rejected. Official reasoning: reintroduction of aggressive doctrine risks destabilizing interspecies equilibrium. Privately, the Council feared something else: cultural contagion. Aggression, like language, spreads. Humanity had not removed it. They had contained it socially, disciplined it through law, redirected it into sport, competition, simulated conflict. But it remained measurable, observable. The Council feared that granting humanity operational control would normalize something the galaxy had deliberately excised. By Cycle 4422, 5 additional civilizations had vanished. The Predator's movement pattern shifted. It began probing militarized sectors, testing response times, exploiting hesitation windows measured in seconds. Humanity resubmitted authorization, this time with attached predictive modeling. The report was controversial. Human analysts had identified the Predator's selection logic. It did not target strength. It targeted reluctance. It advanced where it sensed delayed retaliation. Its behavior suggested evolutionary pressure against species unwilling to pursue. The key variable was not weapon strength. It was willingness to chase. The Council debated for 11 continuous rotations. 3 member species abstained, 2 dissented. The authorization passed by the narrowest margin in recorded history. Human fleets were granted limited engagement clearance. The condition: defensive operations only. No pursuit beyond immediate threat vector. No autonomous escalation. What happened next is still under review. Initial engagement in the Hathor expanse lasted 3.2 minutes. Human vessels did not form defensive arcs. They did not broadcast warnings. They advanced. Human targeting algorithms demonstrated predictive aggression modeling absent in all other Council fleets. They anticipated adaptive shifts. They forced the Predator to reposition. They pursued. This violated Condition 3. The Council transmitted cease directives. Human command acknowledged receipt and continued. The Predator did not retreat. It adapted, and for the first time since emergence, it appeared to hesitate. Engagement logs show something unprecedented. The Predator attempted withdrawal. Human fleets accelerated. The pursuit extended beyond authorized engagement perimeter by 14.7 light units. 3 human vessels were lost. No retreat was ordered. This detail remains contentious. When the engagement concluded, the Predator's primary mass signature fragmented. Secondary signatures dispersed. Human fleets tracked them. All of them. The official victory declaration was restrained. The Predator species was declared neutralized. What the public record omits is this: human fleet mobilization did not scale down after engagement. Recruitment across Terran defense sectors increased by 38%. Weapons development budgets expanded. Aggression index readings across human population clusters rose marginally, within statistical tolerance, but rising. In post-engagement interviews, human command representatives described the operation as necessary, regrettable, effective. There was no celebratory rhetoric, no triumph broadcast, but internal human military communications, since classified, show increased strategic initiative proposals, preemptive containment doctrines, expanded patrol radii. One internal memorandum contains a single line that continues to circulate within Council ethics divisions. Peace requires someone willing to end threats permanently. The predator species has not resurfaced. No additional systems have vanished. The galaxy remains intact, stable, quiet. And for the first time since the Great Correction, the Council has initiated a confidential review of human genetic architecture. Not to request compliance, but to understand it. Because a pattern has emerged. The predator targeted civilizations that removed aggression. Humanity did not. And during engagement, human neurochemical scans indicated something difficult to quantify. Not joy, not rage, recognition. This file remains open, further analysis pending. Clearance required for Archive Addendum GEN-AG-77-HUMAN-2. The official position of the Galactic Council remains unchanged. Humanity acted within conditional authorization parameters until it did not. Publicly, the deviation is described as tactical overextension. Privately, it is referred to as reintroduction. The predator species has not re-emerged, but something else has. Signal traffic, encrypted, low frequency, origin. Terran military research networks. The Council does not possess decryption access. This is unprecedented. For 8 centuries, interspecies transparency protocols ensured mutual oversight. Humanity complied with 96% of data sharing requirements. The remaining 4% were categorized as cultural autonomy protections. That 4% has expanded to 19%. No official notice was filed. When inquiries were submitted, Terran representatives responded with a single statement: internal security reassessment. That phrase has since appeared 42 times in Council transcripts. Simultaneously, human patrol routes have expanded beyond previously negotiated sectors. Not aggressively, not provocatively, but consistently. They are mapping. Again. The Council Ethics Division convened emergency review. The central concern was not fleet movement. It was neurochemical analysis. During the Hathor Expanse engagement, biometric telemetry from Terran command vessels revealed elevated dopaminergic and adrenergic markers across 63% of crew. Stress response was expected. What was not expected was post-engagement stabilization. Aggression markers did not return to baseline immediately. They plateaued, then recalibrated slightly above pre-conflict norms, within statistical tolerance, but trending. Human psychological reports describe the shift as operational clarity, renewed unity, purpose realignment. One Council observer used a different word: awakening. This word was struck from the official minutes. It remains in the archive. Cycle 4427, proposal submitted. Motion title: Genetic Harmonization Initiative, Terran Integration. Public summary: voluntary access to the Great Correction Protocol. Private addendum: compulsory compliance if refusal presents existential destabilization risk. The vote was not unanimous. Species that retained minor aggression markers abstained. Species that had fully undergone correction supported the measure overwhelmingly. Their reasoning was mathematically structured. Aggression increases probability of expansion. Expansion increases probability of dominance. Dominance destabilizes equilibrium. Humanity is trending upward. Therefore, intervene early. This was described as preventive preservation. Not hostility, not punishment, stability maintenance. The vote passed preliminary review. Humanity was notified of upcoming biogenetic alignment consultation. Terran response latency, 0.8 seconds. The message was short. Declined. No elaboration, no diplomatic cushioning, No appeal to autonomy, simply declined. Within 6 cycles, Terran encryption protocols escalated to Obsidian-level quantum obfuscation. Council monitoring stations lost passive surveillance access to 14% of human outer colonies. Trade agreements remained active. Diplomatic envoys continued formal engagement. But transparency had shifted. A pattern re-emerged in Council projections. It was the same pattern observed before the Predator engagements. Mapping, positioning, preparation. Council simulations explored possible human trajectories if aggression markers continued gradual normalization upward. Scenario A. Humanity expands defensive perimeter but remains cooperative. Scenario B. Humanity forms exclusive military bloc. Scenario C. Humanity adopts preemptive strike doctrine to eliminate perceived future threats. Probability weighting increased for Scenario C after internal Terran memorandum leak was intercepted. The leak was partial, corrupted, but one phrase was recoverable. Never again will we hesitate. Ethics Division analysts debated whether this referred to the predator species or to something broader. The first public fracture occurred during Council Session 4432. Representative Ilir of the Othari Assembly addressed Terran Ambassador Hale directly. Transcript excerpt: ILYR. Your species has demonstrated effective lethality. We acknowledge this. But you have also demonstrated resistance to harmonization. Why? Hale. Because what you removed was not a defect. Ilir. It led to centuries of annihilation. Hale. It also led to survival. Session silence duration, 11.4 seconds. ILYR. Survival from whom? Hale. That is the wrong question. Transcript classified immediately thereafter. Privately, several council members have begun contingency planning. If humanity refuses harmonization, forceful compliance mechanisms must be considered. These mechanisms were archived centuries ago. They were designed for rogue artificial intelligences and expansionist empires, not for allies. Reactivating them requires unanimous approval. That threshold has not yet been met. But discussion frequency has increased. Meanwhile, human civilian sectors show no overt militarization surge. Cultural production continues. Scientific collaboration persists. Interstellar tourism remains active. On the surface, humanity appears unchanged. Yet defense analytics indicate something subtle. Human fleet doctrine has shifted from reactive containment to layered redundancy. Preemptive response windows reduced from 4.8 seconds to 1.2. Target acquisition algorithms recalibrated toward threat anticipation rather than threat confirmation. In private Terran military symposia, a phrase has gained popularity. Preparedness is peace. Council analysts disagree. They classify it as peace through deterrent supremacy, which historically precedes imbalance. There is one final detail that has not been released beyond Obsidian clearance. During the final engagement against the Predator fragments, one human commander transmitted a priority message not to the Council, but to all Terran fleets. The message was archived before encryption closed. It reads, "Remember what this felt like, so we never become the ones who freeze." The Council Ethics Division has debated this message extensively. Is it caution or nostalgia? That distinction determines everything. The Harmonization Initiative moves to enforcement review next cycle. If activated, Council fleets will enter Terran space under the authority of Stabilization Mandate 7. Humanity has not been informed of this procedural advancement. Current projection models indicate that if Mandate 7 is executed, human response will be immediate and decisive. The galaxy stands at a crossroads not seen since the Great Correction began. The predator species forced humanity to fight. The Council may now force humanity to choose. This archive remains open. Addendum 3 authorization pending. Clearance required for GEN-AG-77-HUMAN-3 designation, containment. The harmonization initiative was never formally activated, at least not at scale. Officially, the Council respected Terran refusal. Unofficially, the Ethics Division authorized a limited observational trial. The justification was narrow. One peripheral Terran colony, Virex 9, had petitioned for voluntary participation in the Great Correction. The colony was young, academically driven, ideologically aligned with pan-galactic integration principles. Their petition framed aggression as an evolutionary relic incompatible with a stable future. The Council accepted. The trial was categorized as voluntary biogenetic adaptation study, no coercion, no secrecy, except for one omission. Terran central governance was not informed. The reasoning was procedural. Colony-level autonomy agreements permitted external cooperative research. Technically, no violation occurred. Technically, harmonization protocols were applied in phased increments. Aggression markers were reduced by 18%, then 26%, then 41%. Behavioral shifts were subtle at first. Conflict mediation time decreased. Interpersonal violence dropped to statistical zero. Civic approval ratings increased. The Council cited early data as confirmation. Aggression removal does not impair civilization. Public stability metrics improved. But secondary data revealed anomalies. Defensive response drills showed hesitation increases. Threat recognition simulations demonstrated delayed pattern escalation. Colony patrol vessels required 2.7 additional seconds to authorize counterforce maneuvers. 2.7 seconds is negligible in diplomacy. It is catastrophic in predatory engagement. When this data was flagged, the Ethics Division classified it as environmental adaptation lag. Further observation recommended. The experiment continued. Aggression markers reduced to 58%. At that threshold, something unexpected occurred. Innovation output declined. Not creativity, not intelligence, but urgency-driven innovation. Virex 9 research institutions had previously specialized in adaptive defense modeling. Funding priorities shifted. Focus turned toward cultural synthesis and interspecies art exchange. Military academies closed, voluntarily. When questioned, colony leadership described the transition as alignment with enlightened values. The Council considered this a success. Then the perimeter alarms triggered. Unidentified vessel signatures entered Virex 9 outer orbit. They were not Council registered. They did not broadcast. They did not attack immediately. They scanned. This behavior pattern was disturbingly familiar. Predator residual signatures had not resurfaced since Halthor. But the scanning pattern matched archived predator reconnaissance behavior within 0.4% variance. The colony response time was logged. Authorization delay, 6.2 seconds. Fleet mobilization delay, 14.9 seconds. Human standard, pre-harmonization, averaged 1.1 seconds. The unidentified vessels withdrew. No confrontation occurred. No casualties recorded, but the data was undeniable. Predator-class reconnaissance had located the colony, and the colony hesitated. Terran intelligence networks detected the anomaly before the Council Ethics Division concluded its internal review. Virex 9 transmitted routine system updates to Terran Core every 36 hours. Within those transmissions were neurochemical baseline shifts. Terran analysts noticed. Aggression index, 0.34 baseline pretrial. Aggression index, 0.12 post-phase 3. No formal notice had been submitted. Terran Central Governance requested clarification. The Council responded with documentation citing voluntary participation. Terran response latency, 0.2 seconds. The message read, "Provide full harmonization protocol access immediately." The Council delayed, not refusal, administrative review. Within 11 minutes, Terran fleets entered high readiness posture. Not attack formation, not violation, just readiness. The Council interpreted this as intimidation. Human command described it as precaution. What followed remains the defining fracture point. Terran vessels entered Virex 9 orbit. Peacefully, no weapons powered, no targeting locks. They requested access to colony defense grid logs. The colony complied. The data was projected in open transmission to the Council. Hesitation windows, threat recognition degradation, authorization latency increase. Then Terran analysts displayed comparative predator engagement overlays. If the unidentified vessels had not withdrawn, Virex 9 would have been consumed in under 23 seconds. The colony leadership remained calm. They expressed no regret. Their final statement during joint session: "We no longer believe fear should guide us." Terran Ambassador Hale responded, "Fear did not guide us. Recognition did." Silence duration, 17.3 seconds. Terran Command did not attack, did not threaten, did not escalate. They requested immediate reversal of harmonization protocols on Virex 9. The Council hesitated. Reversal required genomic reactivation procedures not tested in 8 centuries. The Ethics Division warned of psychological instability risks. Terran response: "You tested removal. You will now test restoration." The reversal began. It was not smooth. Aggression markers do not reinsert like software patches. Neural pathways had adapted. Behavioral patterns shifted. For several cycles, Virex 9 experienced heightened unrest. Anger resurfaced. Boundary enforcement returned. Defensive academies reopened. And patrol response times dropped to 1.6 seconds. The unidentified vessels did not return. But the message had already spread across Terran networks. The Council had modified human biology without informing humanity. Even if technically voluntary, even if procedurally legal, trust recalibrated. Not emotionally, structurally. Within 3 cycles, Terran encryption expanded again. Council observers were quietly withdrawn from 22 human research facilities. Trade agreements remained intact. Diplomacy continued. But transparency was gone. And then, without fanfare, Terran Central Governance submitted a procedural notification. Motion title: Strategic Realignment of Interstellar Participation. The document was 47 pages. No accusations, no condemnation, no threats. Just clauses. Termination of joint defense obligations. Withdrawal from collective enforcement treaties. Cessation of predator containment guarantees. Final clause: Terran defense forces will remain within sovereign boundaries. External intervention will require unanimous Terran civilian approval. The Council chamber recorded no immediate reaction, because no one believed it. Until Terran fleets began returning home, this archive remains open. Addendum 4 pending. Designation: Withdrawal implementation. The Council did not vote against the Terran motion. There was no emergency summit, no censure resolution, no sanctions. There were discussions, many, but none reached consensus. The harmonization trial had been technically lawful, The Terran response had been technically lawful. Both sides operated within the boundaries of interstellar charter, which meant there was no clear violation, only consequence. 3 cycles after the Virex 9 reversal, Terran fleets began redeployment, not retreat. Redeployment. Outer perimeter patrols contracted by 14%. Joint military stations transitioned to advisory status. Council observers assigned to Terran vessels were reassigned without ceremony. The first visible shift occurred at the Halthor Expanse Memorial. Human patrol ships had maintained silent presence there since the Predator engagement. On cycle 4439.7, they departed. No announcement. No explanation. Surveillance logs show only engine signatures fading from the perimeter grid. The council chamber recorded the moment in silence. No vote was called. No request was issued for clarification. Terran Ambassador Hale delivered a final procedural address 2 rotations later. The transcript is preserved in full. Terran statement to the Galactic Council. Pursuant to Clause 18 of the Interstellar Cooperative Charter, the Terran Union hereby exercises its right to sovereign strategic realignment. Effective immediately, Terran Defense Forces will discontinue participation in collective enforcement operations beyond recognized Terran jurisdictional boundaries. Terran assets will not be deployed in response to external existential threats absent direct aggression upon Terran sovereign space. Joint research initiatives related to biogenetic modification are terminated. Existing trade agreements remain intact. Cultural exchange programs remain intact. Diplomatic channels remain open. This decision is not punitive. It is structural. The Terran Union recognizes the Council's commitment to genetic harmonization and collective stability. We also recognize that our strategic frameworks are no longer aligned. We will not seek to alter yours. We request that you refrain from attempting to alter ours. This concludes our statement. The address lasted 2 minutes and 14 seconds. There was no applause, no rebuttal, no emotional inflection detected in vocal analysis. Ambassador Hale remained for standard diplomatic protocol duration, then exited. The Council did not attempt to block departure. 3 member species privately urged reconsideration. None submitted formal objection. Why? Because projections were clear. If Mandate 7 were activated at this stage, Terran response probability exceeded 92%. And for the first time in 8 centuries, the Council was uncertain it would win. Not because Terran fleets were larger, but because Terran fleets were faster to decide. Within 12 cycles, the galaxy adjusted. Piracy reports increased marginally in sectors once buffered by Terran patrols. Defense academies reopened across 5 Council species. Aggression markers, long dormant, began resurfacing in limited subpopulations. Not violently, not chaotically, but measurably. Council research divisions quietly reopened archived pre-correction defense doctrine files. The predator species has not returned, but simulation models indicate that if it does, response coordination latency will exceed Terran-era benchmarks by 4.3 seconds. That margin remains within acceptable loss projections. Officially. Unofficially, the Council has begun contingency modeling under a new classification. Scenario: Terran non-intervention. This scenario was previously theoretical. It is now standard planning procedure. There is one final detail appended to this archive. During redeployment, Terran fleet commanders transmitted a standardized message across all vessels. It was not broadcast publicly. It was internal. Recovered through passive signal reflection. The message reads, "Stand down from external posture. Maintain readiness. Do not pursue. do not provoke, do not forget. No further elaboration accompanies it. The galaxy remains stable, trade flows, diplomacy persists. No war has erupted, no fleets have mobilized aggressively. Peace endures. But the nature of that peace has changed. It is no longer guaranteed by Terran willingness to hunt. It is now maintained by the knowledge that Terran willingness still exists. This file remains open. Addendum 5 pending review. Designation: long-term projections. 37 standard cycles have passed since Terran strategic realignment. No armed conflict has occurred between the Terran Union and the Galactic Council. Trade metrics remain stable. Diplomatic channels remain active, though limited in scope. Joint defense protocols remain terminated. The galaxy did not collapse. This outcome surprised many. Initial projections predicted increased piracy, regional power struggles, and predator resurgence. Minor fluctuations occurred, but systemic destabilization did not. Instead, something quieter happened. 5 Council species reinstated adaptive defense academies. 3 revised genetic harmonization thresholds to allow controlled aggression expression within military sectors. 2 initiated public philosophical debates regarding the Great Correction. The term defect is no longer universally used. It has been replaced in several academic institutions with evolutionary trade-off. Response latency across Council fleets has improved by 1.8 seconds on average. Not Terran level, but improved. No official credit has been assigned. Unofficially, the cause is understood. Terran absence forced recalibration. Terran space, meanwhile, has remained internally stable. Military spending plateaued after withdrawal. Aggression index levels normalized. They did not spike. They did not collapse. They stabilized at pre-predator baselines. This detail is significant. It suggests that Terran aggression is situational rather than expansionist. However, one anomaly has drawn Council attention. Terran deep-range exploration activity has increased by 400%. Not along known galactic corridors, not toward contested zones, but outward, beyond mapped stellar boundaries, beyond Council registry lanes, beyond shared navigation grids. At first, this was dismissed as routine expansion, long-range survey missions, scientific curiosity. Then the propulsion signatures were analyzed. Terran vessels departing the rim do not match standard FTL architecture. Energy profiles indicate experimental slip geometry distortions, non-linear displacement signatures. Council propulsion experts classify the technology as boundary agnostic. This classification remains theoretical. No Council species has attempted similar research. Because for 8 centuries, expansion was unnecessary. The galaxy was sufficient. Humanity appears to disagree. Cycle 4461. An independent observation array near the galactic rim recorded a Terran fleet formation not previously catalogued. 16 vessels. Non-military designation. No weapon signatures active. Hull markings classified as exploratory. Formation vector, extragalactic. They did not announce departure. They did not request corridor clearance. They simply left. The Council debated interpretation. Was this colonization, exile, strategic fallback positioning? Terran diplomats responded to formal inquiry with exploration initiative, no strategic implications. The phrasing is consistent with prior Terran communications. Minimal, accurate, incomplete. One final data point has entered Obsidian archives. During Predator Containment Review, Council xenobiologists concluded that the predator species evolved in regions of suppressed interspecies aggression. Its survival model depended on civilizations unwilling to pursue. If similar predator ecologies exist beyond the galactic rim, Terran outward movement may not be purely exploratory. It may be preventative, or it may be instinctual. Human aggression, when denied local expression, may seek frontier displacement. This theory remains unproven. What is proven is this: since Terran withdrawal, no existential predator-class entity has emerged within Council space. Outer boundary sectors adjacent to Terran jurisdiction show zero anomalous extinction events. Statistically, this is improbable. One Ethics Division memorandum, later retracted, included the following line: "They may not be expanding. They may be hunting." The statement was removed from official circulation. It remains in this archive. The galaxy has adapted. The Council remains intact. The Great Correction remains policy, though softened in language. Humanity has not returned to collective defense. They have not threatened expansion. They have not re-entered enforcement treaties. They have not asked permission. They have not offered protection. They have simply moved outward. This file remains open. Addendum 6 pending. Designation: boundary analysis. 42 cycles post-withdrawal. The Council's deep field observation arrays detected something previously categorized as theoretical: a gravitational distortion wave. Origin: extragalactic. Trajectory: inbound. Magnitude: minor. Not predator class. Not extinction level, but artificial. The signature did not match Council propulsion. It did not match historical predator biomechanical displacement. It matched Terran slip geometry signatures, outbound and inbound. A vessel returned, damaged. Hull integrity at 61%. No distress call was broadcast. It did not request Council assistance. It entered Terran space and disappeared behind sovereign boundary markers. But passive telemetry recorded something else. Behind it, faint, another distortion ripple. Larger. The Council convened emergency review, not because Terran space was threatened, but because Outer Rim extinction models began updating. Historical predator models were incomplete. They had assumed the predator was a singular species, contained within galactic ecology. New projections suggest otherwise. Predation may not originate inside the galaxy. It may arrive from beyond. The Great Correction addressed internal instability. It did not account for external pressure. Council xenobiologists reopened ancient evolutionary logs. Aggression did not evolve randomly. It emerged during periods of environmental scarcity and external threat. It is not merely violence. It is boundary detection. Non-linear displacement signatures. Council propulsion experts classify the technology as boundary agnostic. This classification remains theoretical. No Council species has attempted similar research. Because for 8 centuries, expansion was unnecessary. The galaxy was sufficient. Humanity appears to disagree. Cycle 4461. An independent observation array near the galactic rim recorded a Terran fleet formation not previously catalogued. 16 vessels. Non-military designation. No weapon signatures active. Hull markings classified as exploratory. Formation vector: extragalactic. They did not announce departure. They did not request corridor clearance. They simply left. The Council debated interpretation. Was this colonization? Exile? Strategic fallback positioning? Terran diplomats responded to formal inquiry with exploration initiative, no strategic implications. The phrasing is consistent with prior Terran communications. Minimal, accurate, incomplete. One final data point has entered Obsidian archives. During Predator Containment Review, Council xenobiologists concluded that the predator species evolved in regions of suppressed interspecies aggression. Its survival model depended on civilizations unwilling to pursue. If similar predator ecologies exist beyond the galactic rim, Terran outward movement may not be purely exploratory. It may be preventative, or it may be instinctual. Human aggression, when denied local expression, may seek frontier displacement. This theory remains unproven. What is proven is this: since Terran withdrawal, no existential predator-class entity has emerged within Council space. Outer boundary sectors adjacent to Terran jurisdiction show zero anomalous extinction events. Statistically, this is improbable. One Ethics Division memorandum, later retracted, included the following line: "They may not be expanding. They may be hunting." The statement was removed from official circulation. It remains in this archive. The galaxy has adapted. The Council remains intact. The Great Correction remains policy, though softened in language. Humanity has not returned to collective defense. They have not threatened expansion. They have not re-entered enforcement treaties. They have not asked permission. They have not offered protection. They have simply moved outward. This file remains open. Addendum 6 pending. Designation: boundary analysis. 42 cycles post-withdrawal. The Council's deep field observation arrays detected something previously categorized as theoretical: a gravitational distortion wave. Origin: extragalactic. Trajectory: inbound. Magnitude: minor. Not predator class. Not extinction level, but artificial. The signature did not match Council propulsion. It did not match historical predator biomechanical displacement. It matched Terran slip geometry signatures, outbound and inbound. A vessel returned, damaged. Hull integrity at 61%. No distress call was broadcast. It did not request Council assistance. It entered Terran space and disappeared behind sovereign boundary markers. But passive telemetry recorded something else. Behind it, faint, another distortion ripple. Larger. The Council convened emergency review, not because Terran space was threatened, but because Outer Rim extinction models began updating. Historical predator models were incomplete. They had assumed the predator was a singular species, contained within galactic ecology. New projections suggest otherwise. Predation may not originate inside the galaxy. It may arrive from beyond. The Great Correction addressed internal instability. It did not account for external pressure. Council xenobiologists reopened ancient evolutionary logs. Aggression did not evolve randomly. It emerged during periods of environmental scarcity and external threat. It is not merely violence. It is boundary detection. Terran outward movement now correlates with previously unexplained predator disappearance rates along the rim. Extinction events that once occurred every 200 cycles have dropped to zero since Terran expansion beyond mapped space. No official Terran acknowledgement confirms this pattern. No treaty obligates them to explain. But probability models converge toward one unsettling conclusion. Humanity did not withdraw because it rejected the galaxy. Humanity withdrew because the galaxy is not the primary theater. A classified Terran transmission fragment was intercepted during RIM operations. Encryption incomplete. Partial phrase recovered. Hold the line beyond the light. The phrase appears tactical, not ceremonial, not exploratory, defensive. The Council Ethics Division now faces a delayed realization. When humanity said, "We will defend our space," they may have defined space differently. No Terran fleet has re-entered Council territory in combat formation. No demands have been issued. No ultimatums delivered. Instead, Rim patrol density has increased by 600%. Slip geometry wake signatures suggest sustained engagement beyond detection range. The galaxy remains quiet, stable, unaware. It is unclear whether this quiet is coincidence or containment. This file remains open. Addendum 7 pending. Designation: Long-term existence modeling. The Galactic Council once classified aggression as a defect. It was treated as a disease, an evolutionary error to be corrected. Humanity declined correction. When threatened, they fought. When mistrusted, they withdrew. When betrayed, they did not retaliate. They repositioned. 100 cycle projections now include a new constant variable: Terran outer boundary activity. Probability of internal galactic extinction level predation remains statistically near zero, while Terran rim signatures persist. Probability increases sharply if Terran outward activity declines. The Council cannot confirm whether humanity is expanding, retreating, or containing something older than the Predator. It may never confirm. Terran diplomats maintain minimal contact. Their final recorded interstellar statement remains unchanged. We will not seek to alter yours. Refrain from attempting to alter ours. The galaxy continues. Peace remains. The Great Correction endures, though revised. Aggression is no longer called a defect in official doctrine. It is called a threshold trait. Humanity stands beyond the rim, unaligned, unobligated, uncontained. The galaxy once feared that humanity might conquer it. It now fears something quieter, that humanity may be the reason it still exists. This archive is sealed. Status ongoing. Cycle 4493. 56 cycles after Terran withdrawal. An anomaly appeared inside Council-controlled space. Not at the rim, not near Terran jurisdiction. Deep within central trade corridors, a distortion signature. Small, erratic, unstable. Council fleets mobilized immediately. Response latency, 2.3 seconds, improved. Faster than historical averages, the distortion collapsed before contact. What remained was debris. Biological, fragmented, unclassified. Analysis confirmed genetic architecture consistent with predator-class organisms, but altered, damaged, scored by energy signatures not matching Council weapon systems. The conclusion was immediate. The Predator had breached inward, but not successfully. It had been engaged before reaching populated sectors. No Terran vessels were recorded within sensor range. No slip signatures detected. No formal transmission received. However, 12 minutes after debris confirmation, the Terran diplomatic channel activated, unprompted. No greeting protocol, no ceremony, just one message, single sentence. Boundary shift acknowledged. Continue monitoring Sector Gamma 9. The transmission ended. Council intelligence ran correlation modeling. The Predator fragment trajectory indicated interception point 3.4 light units beyond Council detection range, which meant humanity was not reacting. Humanity was watching, beyond where the Council could see. Emergency Council session convened. This time not in fear, in realization. For decades, humanity had not returned, had not asked for alliance renewal, had not demanded credit. They had simply expanded outward, silently. Now the pattern clarified. The predator species was not singular. It was migratory. The original incursion had not been invasion. It had been probing, testing for weakness. Civilizations that removed aggression were soft entry points. The galaxy was not the center. It was a corridor. Humanity had not withdrawn in protest. They had repositioned to the corridor mouth. They were not protecting the Council. They were protecting the boundary between this galaxy and whatever follows it. There is one final classified projection added to this archive. If Terran outer boundary operations cease, probability of renewed predator penetration within 70 cycles, 83%. If Terran operations continue, probability remains below 4%. The Council has debated reaching out, formally acknowledging reliance, offering reintegration. But the Ethics Division advised against it. Humanity did not ask for recognition. They did not request alliance. They did not request gratitude. They asked for one condition only: refrain from attempting to alter ours. That condition remains honored. The Great Correction remains in effect, but amended. Aggression is no longer categorized as pathology. It is listed as adaptive boundary response mechanism. This reclassification passed unanimously. The irony has not gone unnoticed. The species once labeled defective has become the reference model, not because it conquered, not because it ruled, but because it refused to change. This archive is now sealed permanently. Status: dependent. Dependent upon Terran continuation. Dependent upon a boundary the Council cannot see. The galaxy endures, not in fear of humanity, not under humanity, but behind it. And for the first time in recorded history, the Council has updated its most restricted strategic model. It is titled, "If They Ever Stop." End of record.